Hi guys, today I decided I wanted to do a review because I haven't done a graphic novel or a book review in such a long time, so I decided today I'm going to do one. I did say my next video was going to be my new comic book pickups, but I think what I'll do is I'll combine next week and last week's comics into maybe Wednesday or Thursday when I pick up my new comics. So today we're going to be talking about The Killing Joke because this is a book I've been wanting to review for a while. So because of the recent trailer coming out for the animated film, I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to review the book and also what you guys thought of this iconic story. So The Killing Joke was written all the way back in 1988, before I was even born. Wow. So it was written in 1988 by Alan Moore, who, if you don't know Alan Moore, he's done so many amazing things. So Watchmen, V for Vendetta, From Hell, lots of different stories, with art by Brian Bollard, who's well known for Judge Dredd, I would say. He's done a lot of other things, but I would say Judge Dredd would be his most known artworks. So there is so many things to talk about with this book. First off, I absolutely love this comic, and it is steadily becoming one of my favorite comics, because if you've watched my videos from the beginning or know what sort of comics I like, I very much enjoy watching the morals of other characters. So this comic really stretches that limit between all the different characters in the story. So we have the possible Joker origin story for this. So there's so many different origin stories for the Joker. There's one famous quote that he says in this book, which pretty much I think sums up his character and what we think about his origins. It was something along the lines of, if I were to have an origin story, it would be multiple choice, which we've seen so many different origins. Now that I've read this and appreciated it, I think I can appreciate the Dark Knight movie by Christopher Nolan so much more, because we see that he has so many different, you know, origins that he's talking about to different people. And you think, well, he had this one story, now he's changing it to this story. So I think that really envelops the whole character together. A little bit off track here talking about the Dark Knight, but I really love that quote in this book. It's probably one of my favorite quotes in the book, so that's why I wanted to mention it. And of course, this book is a main event in continuity for Batgirl, which recently, in the past 2 years, I've become a big fan of Batgirl, where Barbara Gordon basically gets turned into Oracle, the character that she's known as now. So the style of this comic is quite different to a lot of other ones that I've read, which is really cool. And I think I've just realized this year, reading a lot more Batman comics, that I actually prefer sort of, you know, the dark and eerie, horrific stories, like crime thriller-based stories, which are ones that you really find in the Batman comics. So yes, events in this are very disturbing, they're very horrific, it's very eerie, so if you're really into that sort of thing, this is definitely the graphic novel for you if you have not read it. So there are a few things I want to talk about with this book, but let's just talk about the basic plot of the book. So the Joker wants to show that even one bad day can push even the most decent man over the edge, and his focus in this comic is Commissioner Gordon. And when targeting Commissioner Gordon, he has to go after the person that he loves most, which is his daughter, Barbara Gordon. So what happens to Babs in this comic is quite horrific and very emotional. So Babs in this comic gets shot in the spine, which basically causes her to become Oracle. She becomes crippled for the rest of her life. She is then tortured. It looks like she was sexually abused. It's not actually clear if she was raped or not, but I think when it comes to sort of Alan Moore's comics, if he wants something known, he will put it there, you know, he will, if she was raped, they would very much show it, and for that it's very ambiguous. It's very ambiguous. So I would say mostly she was sexually abused, and all of this graphicness that was being shown in this comic was being photographed and filmed by the Joker, which he then uses it to torture Jim Gordon and to try to push him over the edge. So eventually the Joker kidnaps Commissioner Gordon and strips him down bare, creates this giant Joker fun house, and basically pulls him through it. So there's we have roller coasters and other creepy little minions around just doing the Joker's dirty work. And all the while, these pictures of Babs are on a big screen, and Jim has to go through and look at it, and it's very confronting. And in this sort of aspect, this is the most sadistic we've probably ever seen the Joker, which is saying something. But what is interesting in this comic actually is that yes, it is the most sadistic we've probably ever seen of the Joker. In the backstory that we see in this comic, it's the most sympathetic we can ever be with the Joker. So we've got two sides of the spectrum here. We've got oh my god, he is so evil and we can't even imagine what he's doing here. And the other side of the spectrum is, I can completely understand where he's coming from. Not in the fact that he's doing all these horrible things, but you can see how he was turned and you feel bad for him. So I think that's why this is a very powerful dynamic. You have so much good and bad. It's all just seeping through in all these different characters and events in the story. So what I find the most interesting part of this story is the point of it. The point of the story is that Joker is trying to corrupt someone that is supposedly incorruptible, Commissioner Gordon. He's supposed to be the pinnacle of light, and he's, you know, he's what stands between the criminals of Gotham and the regular people of Gotham. He's supposed to be the law and order. The fact that even though he's being dragged through this whole like ordeal and such, he actually says to Batman, when Batman arrives, you need to bring him in by the books. Even though he's been through this crazy stuff, he still wants Joker to be tried and prosecuted and taken to jail or Arkham Asylum or whatever. He's still good. After all of this, all of the stuff that the Joker has pulled, he's ultimately failed in his goal. He hasn't turned Commissioner Gordon. And another point I want to talk about, of course, is Batman's incorruptibility. I'm not sure if that's a word, but we're going to make it a word. So the ending of this comic is such a, you know, talked about topic. Did he kill the Joker? Did he not kill the Joker? There's so many different things going on here. And what I said earlier about Alan Moore really wanting to show people, you know, if something has happened or not, he will show it in the comic. But for this, he didn't want to show if he was dead or alive or whatever. So he left it open to interpretation, which is what people have been doing for so many years since it was written. So I know a majority of people think that Batman did kill the Joker because, you know, they had their fights and such, and it really had to come to an end in that one night. So people say that that last bit, when he was laughing at the Joker's joke, the reason that the Joker stopped laughing was Batman had grabbed his neck and snapped his neck. I'm not one of those believers. I think that he didn't kill the Joker. The point of the story was that everyone is not completely corruptible, you know. Commissioner Gordon wasn't, and Batman, who is the pinnacle of righteousness, cannot be corrupted. He can't. Because if he is corrupted in this story, then the Joker therefore wins. So I think, in my belief, I want to say that he didn't kill the Joker. That's what I want to believe. Even though a lot of people say he did, but I'm definitely one of the people that is trying to believe in the better side that Batman did in fact not kill the Joker because he is better than that. Despite the Joker being such a vile villain. Oh, I just realized, vile villain. Is that where villain came from? Vile villain. Epiphany. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about is Bab's story. So I just want to talk about the feminist issues that people have with this. A lot of people, they would say the sexual abuse and the horrific things that Babs had to go through was very sort of chauvinistic. I think isn't particularly true, because if we think about it in this way, I don't actually see a feminism side to that. I think it happened because it happened. If Babs was a boy, I think sort of steps would be taken in a male perspective. The point of the matter was that the Joker was going after Commissioner Gordon, and Commissioner Gordon's greatest weakness is his daughter Babs. So the Joker had to infiltrate that and drag Babs down to a level that would make Jim go insane. The point of this is I don't think feminism should even come into this argument. I don't think it has anything to do with the comic. It is what it is because that is what had to happen in order for the story to progress. So overall, I absolutely love this comic. The art is fantastic. It is a little older, but I actually like it. So we have one page here where you can see the Joker. It's very well done, and this is actually the deluxe edition, which I think has been recolored and looks quite beautiful inside, which is really cool. The story is fantastic. I think this is perfect if you're a new reader, because if you want to learn more about Batman, more about the Joker, this is a really fantastic story to start with, because there's just so much. It's a pinnacle story in the Batman universe, and that's of course the Joker's insanity and the idea of corruption in Gotham, and also Barbara Gordon's story. This is a very important comic for that. So if you're looking for something to jump on, I would suggest picking this one up. It's very easy to get, but this you can just pick up in a graphic novel, hardcover or paper. This is a hardcover. It's an older comic, but it's very sort of mainstream. So I don't think you're going to have an issue finding this anywhere like Barnes & Noble or any other bookstore. I do hope you enjoyed watching this review. I love doing these reviews, and I think I will do a lot more in the future. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.